Five Chicago gang members with ties to Lil Durk, OTF, accused of being hired to unalive Quando Rondo.
If you've been keeping tabs on the hip-hop scene lately, you already know things are heating up fast between some serious names in the game. Word on the street is that 5 Chicago gangs are caught up in a wild mess. And ever since Durk got picked up by the feds back in October 2024, social media has been flooded with wild theories. But now, the FBI just dropped some footage, and it's pulling back the curtain on something way deeper. And guess who's smack in the middle of it all? Bricc Baby. No shock there. He's been talking crazy in interviews, throwing out little clues and half-truths like he's begging to be part of the story. Now, everybody's asking, did Bricc Baby actually snitch? It's getting messy fast. Reports from April 2025 say federal agents got their hands on wiretap convos where Lil Durk allegedly talked money, specifically payouts tied to a possible murder-for-hire plot. One video even claims the feds straight up planted a rat in a jail cell next to one of Durk's people, hoping to squeeze out more info. So here's where it gets even crazier. Somebody recorded straight up incriminating convos about money being passed around for alleged hits. Yeah, we're talking serious dirt. One video even claims Bricc Baby cracked under pressure and confessed to being tied to Durk's murder-for-hire charges.
November 6, 2020, co-conspirator number 4 was in had a conversation with Durk. It's no way possible it was me because on November 6, 2020, I was in jail. You get what I'm saying?
Court documents dropped the name of a dude only known as AJ, who got bagged for riding around in a stolen car linked to a murder. He ended up at Illinois River Correctional Center. And that's when things took a turn. The feds supposedly planted a jailhouse informant in AJ's cell, and this dude caught AJ talking a lot. AJ allegedly laid out the whole plan, how the murder went down, and exactly how the cash was split up after. This is major heat, especially since it allegedly ties Durk directly to paying for hits. Exactly the kind of evidence the feds need to build a conspiracy case. And it doesn't stop there. These conversations reportedly name-drop someone called Marley, who's being painted as a key player in the whole thing. To make it worse, leaked info claims the feds also got their hands on text messages linking Durk straight to these murder plots, including the money talk. If those texts turn out to be real, they could be the smoking gun the feds are praying for. Prosecutors need one thing to seal this case: proof that Durk was the one calling the shots. But where does Bricc Baby really fit into this chaotic mess? That's the million-dollar mystery that's got the whole internet in a headlock right now. But before we dive into Bricc Baby's role, let's lay out exactly what Durk's dealing with. The OTF boss is locked up tight at MDC Los Angeles. No bail, no mercy, and the charges are insane. He's staring down conspiracy to commit murder for hire using interstate networks to carry it out and weapons charges that could bury him for life. These weren't just bold moves, they were reckless, and now they've come crashing down hard. The heart of the case, prosecutors say it all stems from revenge over King Von's death. They claim Durk threw a bag on Quando Rondo's head after the chaos that went down in that Atlanta parking lot back in 2020. But instead of hitting the target, things spun out even worse. Quando's cousin, Sia LPA Robinson, got hit in LA in August 2022 at a gas station. The feds are saying that hit was part of the plot, even if the wrong man caught the bullet. And what's got the feds walking around like they already won? The mountain of evidence they claim to be sitting on. 230 gigabytes of digital receipts, surveillance videos, audio recordings, you name it. Plus, over 20,000 pages of paperwork breaking down every detail of these alleged hits. That mountain of evidence, it's the whole reason Durk's trial got pushed back from January to October 2025. The feds needed time to sort through their receipts. And trust, it's a lot of dirt. But what's actually in all that digital heat? The streets are buzzing with whispers about the details, and they're wild. Word is the feds got surveillance showing a white BMW tied to the Lupop hit, plus GPS data connecting that ride to a sporting goods store, where ski masks were copped. And it doesn't stop there. Supposedly, there are bank records showing cards linked to Durk and OTF being used to pay for flights and hotel rooms for the alleged shooters. They even claim to have a text from Durk himself saying, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me. If that's real, it's looking real bad." The feds are calling that text a straight-up sign Durk knew exactly what was going down and was trying to stay off the radar. But here's where it really starts cooking, those audio recordings. This is where Bricc Baby's name gets dragged into the chaos. Bricc Baby, government name Rico Kennedy, is a rapper out of LA tied to the Rollin' 60s Crips, and he's worked with major names like Future and Young Thug. After Durk got locked up, the rumor mill lit up, claiming Bricc might be co-conspirator 4 in the indictment, or worse, that he dropped key info to the feds.
There was a noticeable 8-hour or more gap in our communication, which I found intriguing.
Okay, so after the show and I see they all got wrapped up, I popped his head and pulled the line. I was asleep when y'all was doing that. You remember,
Really?
I woke up at 1 in the morning, right when Act was ending the stream.
Things got even crazier after a no-jumper interview surfaced, where Bricc reacted to the OTF case and casually brought up Lil Pop's death. That clip went viral, and folks started pointing fingers like crazy. After that no-jumper clip blew up, the internet went into overdrive with wild speculation. Some fans even started pushing a theory that Lil Durk had paid Bricc Baby $100,000 just a month before Lil Pop's death to line up the hit on Quando Rondo. There's zero solid proof backing that up, but that hasn't stopped folks from running with it. Bricc Baby, though, he's been pushing back hard. In a Vlad TV interview, he shut it all down, flat out denied being co-conspirator 4, and said if he was really in the indictment, there's no way he'd be out here talking freely about it. According to him, he and Quando barely even knew each other. He said they'd only spoken a couple times, and he never gave up any sensitive info. No locations, nothing. During a separate sit-down, Bricc also addressed a suspicious 8-hour window on the day of the arrest. People had questions, but he claimed he was completely knocked out, self-medicating from the stress of a Fed case tied to one of his close people. He made it clear he wasn't being interrogated and definitely wasn't working with law enforcement. Still, despite all his denials, the internet wouldn't let up. Reddit lit up with posts questioning how Bricc could speak so openly about the case without facing consequences. One user even threw out a reminder about the time Bricc was spotted at an Atlanta hotel with cops around. "Do you remember when he was in Atlanta in a hotel and there was cops?" one commenter wrote. That comment alone stirred up a whole new wave of theories. People online weren't holding back at all. Some were acting like Bricc Baby was part of a full-blown police meetup, joking that it looked more like a law enforcement convention, with Bricc as the guest of honor. Total chaos. That moment was being pointed to as proof he had ties to the cops. Then there was another post claiming Bricc would backdoor his own mama for an OTF chain, accusing him of being disloyal and willing to sell out anyone for a come-up. The disrespect was unreal. Twitter just as messy. Posts like Bricc Baby snitched on Durk started going viral, and people couldn't stop debating. Was Bricc really co-conspirator 4, or had he dipped off the grid after things heated up? Right after his interview dropped, things got even spicier during a live stream with Wack 100 and DJ Academics. In that back and forth, Bricc Baby shut down every snitching accusation thrown his way. He came with receipts too, said he was already locked up on November 6th, 2020 during a key event mentioned in the indictment, so there's no way he could have played a role. He's been sticking to that story, making it crystal clear that he never flipped or gave the feds anything. But the wildest twist? The streets started whispering about another name, an OTF member called Jam, who's allegedly been wearing a wire for years, stacking evidence against Durk while staying right in the crew's inner circle. Now here's where the story flips completely. Multiple sources are naming OTF Jam as the real informant, the one who actually wore a wire, gathered dirt on the murder-for-hire plot, and even dropped a track throwing slick shots that seem to implicate Durk. People are saying there's even video of Jam acting mad shady, which only adds fuel to the theory that he's been working with the feds behind the scenes. Here's the kicker. Jam's name doesn't show up with the co-defendants, not once, That's got folks thinking he might not be facing charges because he's cooperating as a witness. One source claims that's exactly what's going down. According to leaked info, a dude named Raj got picked up in March 2023. After a sit-down with federal agents, that one convo supposedly gave the feds all they needed to kick off a full-blown Rico case against OTF. From there, it was a domino effect. More people started flipping, spilling details about who gave the orders, who was in the room, who traveled, and who fronted the money. In short, they handed the feds a blueprint to the whole operation. But here's the craziest part. Sources say Durk wasn't even surprised when the heat came down. Word is, he already knew OTF Jam had flipped. Allegedly, Durk expected everything to go sideways at his birthday bash concert in Chicago. That's why, when he was finally grabbed at Miami International Airport, he had multiple escape routes lined up. He was ready.
He's locked up. I got the whole mug show. No. No.
Through all this madness, Lil Durk's legal squad, led by big shot attorney Drew Findling, aka the billion-dollar lawyer, has been holding the line, insisting he's innocent. They're saying the evidence is shaky at best, mostly circumstantial, and they're not buying what the feds are selling. One of their biggest fights? Prosecutors trying to use Durk's own lyrics against him in court. University of Richmond professor Eric Nielsen even called that move dangerously sloppy, slamming it as a lazy and biased tactic. But let's be real, Durk's legal team has a major uphill climb ahead of them. The insane amount of leaked evidence and informant chatter has flipped the public narrative completely. What once looked like a weak case now feels like a whole mountain of receipts, and it's making things way harder for his defense to punch holes in the story. So how did Durk even end up in a mess this deep? Time to rewind and break down just how wild this legal storm really is and why those snitching accusations are hitting so hard. Durk, real name Durk Derrick Banks, started as a gritty street rapper repping Chicago's drill movement. He came up fast, making noise in the trenches before climbing all the way to Grammy-level status. He pulled off what most only dream of, linking up with A-listers and moving smoothly between hard-hitting trap and radio-ready pop. That's when everything exploded. U.S. Marshals grabbed Lil Durk at Miami International Airport, and the shockwaves hit the culture hard. But this wasn't just a simple airport stop. According to the feds, Durk wasn't planning to catch a regular commercial flight. He was allegedly trying to vanish from the map completely. Investigators say he had a private jet lined up to jet off to Italy, but that wasn't the only move. On top of that, they claim he had one-way commercial flights booked for Switzerland through New Jersey and another one to Dubai, routed through Qatar, all on the same day. That's not travel. It's a full-on ghost plan. This triple escape had federal agents convinced Durk was a serious flight risk. To them, this wasn't a man standing tall in the face of charges. It looked like someone trying to disappear before the heat really kicked in. But why was he allegedly trying to skip town so fast? Just days later, on November 8, 2024, a federal grand jury handed down an indictment. The charges? Brutal. Conspiracy to commit murder for hire, using interstate networks to commit the crime, which led to death, and carrying, using, and firing firearms as part of a violent offense that also ended in someone's death. Prosecutors say this wasn't some random act. According to their paperwork, it was a carefully planned revenge hit aimed at Quando Rondo, payback for King Von's killing back in November 2020. Prosecutors are painting a ruthless picture, claiming Lil Durk put a bag on Quando Rondo's head, offering serious cash and perks in OTF to anyone willing to ride for Von. And according to them, 5 OTF-linked hitters answered that call. Kayvon London Grant, aka CZ, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, aka OTF Diddy, Keith Jones, aka Flocka, David Brian Lindsay, aka Brown Eyes, and a Houston native known as OTF Boogie. The feds allege these 5 were all in on the plan to take out Quando Rondo as revenge for King Von. They supposedly got their intel from a longtime OTF insider, none other than the mysterious co-conspirator 4, who dropped the exact hotel Quando was staying at in LA Meanwhile, prosecutors claim Durk was bankrolling the whole mission from behind the scenes. From there, the crew flew out to Cali, went big with luxury car rentals, and grabbed ski masks and straps, including a fully automatic machine gun, according to court docs. Then came the move. On August 19, 2022, feds say these OTF members tailed Quando Rondo and his crew, including Lil Pop, across Los Angeles in a Cadillac Escalade. They allegedly tracked them through several stops until they hit a gas station near the Beverly Center, and that's where it went down. At least 18 shots rang out, and Lil Pop didn't make it. Quando somehow walked away without a scratch. What's giving the prosecution serious leverage here? The digital breadcrumbs. Investigators claim they've traced a credit card tied to OTF that helped fund this whole hit, from flights to whips to gear. The receipts just keep stacking up. Prosecutors say that same OTF-linked credit card didn't just cover flights, it also paid for hotel stays and other expenses for the alleged hit squad. Then there's GPS data placing the murder vehicle at a sporting goods store, where ski masks were copped right before the shooting went down. Add that to surveillance footage showing the victims being tailed through LA, and it's clear the feds are building a case with layers. After his arrest, Durk pleaded not guilty to all charges during his arraignment in Los Angeles on November 14, 2024. But even with his legal team's heavy push for bail, things didn't go his way. On December 12th, Judge Patricia Donahue denied pretrial release, calling Durk a major flight risk given his money, influence, and previous attempt to allegedly flee. His team threw a serious bond offer on the table. $2.3 million in property equity from 2 Georgia homes, $1 million in cash from Sony Music, and a private 24/7 security team. Still, the judge wasn't buying it. And just when things couldn't get worse, prosecutors accused Durk of violating jail rules at MDC in Los Angeles. They claimed he was making unauthorized three-way calls from behind bars, a big no-no. That move raised red flags about whether Durk was respecting the system at all and might have swayed the court's opinion even more against him. But then came the next bombshell. As if the Quando Rondo situation wasn't heavy enough, during Durk's detention hearings, prosecutors dropped another accusation that he might be connected to a second murder-for-hire plot. This time, it's tied to the January 2022 killing of Stefan Mack, a 24-year-old who was allegedly a high-ranking figure in the Smash faction of the Gangster Disciples in Chicago. According to a 2023 unsealed FBI affidavit, Mack was gunned down just after leaving a youth center. And now Durk's name is swirling in connection to that hit too. The FBI affidavit goes even deeper, referencing text messages and social media posts that allegedly show Lil Durk offering cash for the murder of Stefan Mack as payback for the 2021 killing of his own brother, Dante OTF D-Thang Banks. Even though no official charges have been filed yet in that case, prosecutors are already using this affidavit as ammo to keep Durk locked up, saying it shows a disturbing pattern of violent retaliation, but it doesn't stop there. Federal prosecutors also claim Durk offered money for other alleged hits, including one that targeted a family member of a witness. The details are still murky, but these accusations came up during his December 2024 detention hearing, where the prosecution argued Durk wasn't just a risk, he was a threat to the entire community and had no business walking free. And beyond the criminal storm, Durk's also drowning in civil lawsuits that could drain his fortune and leave a permanent stain on his legacy. On February 24th, 2025, Andrea Laquila Robinson, the mother of Sia LPA Robinson, filed a wrongful death lawsuit in Cook County Court. She's going after Durk, his business manager, OTF, and a connected company, claiming that Sia's death in the 2022 LA gas station shooting was the direct result of a hit organized by Durk himself. And that's not the only lawsuit hitting his desk. Back in October 2024, the mother of FBG Duck filed another wrongful death suit, this time naming Durk, OTF, King Von's estate, and several music labels. She alleges they all played a part in a violent campaign against FBG Duck, even accusing them of putting a $100,000 bounty on his head. That plot allegedly led to Duck's deadly ambush in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast in August 2020. Even with the legal firestorm surrounding him, Lil Durk's still keeping his connection to fans alive. While sitting behind bars, he dropped his 9th studio album, Deep Thoughts, on March 28, 2025, and the streets felt it. But let's bring it back to one of the messiest parts of this whole saga, the snitching allegations. Because in street culture, cooperating with the feds is the ultimate betrayal, a code breaker that can destroy reputations and relationships forever. The idea that someone from Durk's inner circle might have flipped adds a whole new layer of pain to an already heavy situation. If what's being said about OTF Jam or Bricc Baby wearing wires turns out to be true, it's not just a legal L, it's a straight-up trust collapse. Reports floating around claim Jam may have been feeding the feds info for years, slowly building a case that tied Durk to murder-for-hire schemes. If that's real, it's a betrayal that cuts deep, especially for a guy like Durk, who's always repped loyalty hard in both his music and his moves. Then there's Bricc Baby. In a Vlad TV interview, he gave a breakdown of the alleged hit operation that had people raising their eyebrows. He criticized the decision to fly hitters from Chicago to LA, saying it would have been smarter and way less obvious to use local shooters. He even called out the hotel bookings and ski mask purchases, saying they left behind an obvious trail for investigators to follow. But the line that really set folks off, Bricc Baby straight up said that if he was broke, he'd give up Quando Rondo's location to Durk. That one statement had the internet spinning, with many seeing it as either a half confession or proof he knew way more than he was letting on. Man, you really can't be saying stuff like that on camera. It's wild behavior. But no matter who said what, one thing's clear. Lil Durk is knee-deep in it this time. The situation's beyond messy, and now everyone's wondering, what's next for the OTF boss? With bombshell allegations flying, wiretaps leaking, and names getting dropped left and right, the future isn't exactly looking golden for Durk right now. Let's keep it a buck. If those wiretap convos and alleged snitch statements hold up in court, legal analysts are saying Durk's defense might be done for. We're talking about testimony from people close to him, text, audio, surveillance, digital trails, the works. And in the federal system, that's a nightmare combo. The feds don't play fair, and they don't miss much. Their conviction rate sits over 90% in cases that actually make it to trial. That stat alone is scary. But when you throw in cooperating witnesses and recorded conversations, that's usually game over. Once that kind of evidence is introduced, it's almost impossible to climb out of the hole. When the feds come knocking, they don't move unless they're damn sure they've got a case that's locked in tight. Federal prosecutors rarely press charges without stacking the deck. And in Lil Durk's situation, the mountain of evidence suggests they've built a full-blown storyline, piece by piece, aimed directly at him and his co-defendants. And breaking that narrative down is going to be a serious mission. Drew Fenling, Durk's heavyweight attorney, is up against the fight of his career. His game plan will likely focus on whether those leaked wiretaps and recordings can legally be used in court, and whether the so-called snitches can be trusted at all. Expect the defense to also go hard against the use of Durk's lyrics, arguing that the feds are twisting his bars, turning art into supposed confessions without context. But here's the tough truth. Even with the best lawyer money can buy, the weight of this case is massive. The charges are specific. The evidence, deep. If Durk gets convicted on all counts, he's facing life in federal prison. That possibility has already rocked his fan base and sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world. And it doesn't end with the criminal stuff. Durk's also under fire from multiple civil lawsuits that could seriously hit his pockets. Ella Robinson's mother is suing for her son's death, saying it was the direct result of a hit Durk allegedly set up. And FBG Duck's mother, she's claiming Durk and OTF were behind a whole campaign of violence, one that ended in her son getting gunned down in Chicago's Gold Coast. These civil lawsuits are stacking even more heat on Lil Durk, not just legally but financially too. And the money situation, it's looking rough. The risks go way beyond whatever damages the courts might hand out. Since his arrest back in October 2024, Durk's been locked up with no bond, which means he hasn't been able to tour, hit the stage, or tap into the usual streams of cash that keep artists of his level thriving. Yeah, he dropped Deep Thoughts from behind bars in March 2025, but let's be real, without promo runs, interviews, or shows, the album didn't get the full push it needed. And with a federal case this massive, the legal fees, they stack fast. Hiring a legal juggernaut like Drew Findling ain't cheap, and prepping for a conspiracy to murder trial at the federal level, that's a whole different kind of expensive. Add it all up, possible payouts in civil court, lost income from canceled shows and halted business ventures, and legal bills that won't stop growing. And even if Durk beats the charges, he could still end up financially wrecked. But maybe the biggest loss on the table is his legacy. Before all this, Durk had built himself into a symbol of success. Coming out of Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, he rose from the mud to become one of drill music's most important voices. Grammy wins, platinum plaques, major features. His story was the kind hip-hop celebrates: raw beginnings, hard work, global respect. What sets Lil Durk's case apart from some of the others is that the feds aren't saying he pulled the trigger. They're claiming he orchestrated the violence from behind the scenes. It's a key difference, but it doesn't make things any less serious. And naturally, people are drawing comparisons to Young Thug's Rico case in Atlanta, where prosecutors said the YSL crew was a full-blown criminal operation with Thug at the helm. Both cases shine a bright light on the growing heat rap collectives are getting from law enforcement and raise major questions about how the justice system treats hip-hop culture. Critics have been loud about this, saying prosecutors are quick to twist lyrics and videos, turning creative expression into evidence, while ignoring the fact that rap is often storytelling, not confessions. But here's where Durk's situation cuts different. This case isn't just about bars or music videos. Prosecutors say they've got real-world receipts, financial records, surveillance footage, text messages, and recorded convos that could connect Durk directly to planning and funding hits. That makes it a lot tougher to argue he's just being targeted because he raps about the streets. And the irony? Durk built his entire rise on being real about that life. His lyrics didn't sugarcoat anything. He gave fans the raw truth about street life and survival. But now, he's being accused of living those lyrics out in ways that left real bodies on the ground. That brings up some tough conversations about responsibility, influence, and the lines between entertainment and action. For the young ones who see artists like Durk as role models, the fallout from this case hits different. One of the biggest questions hanging over this case, whether any of Lil Durk's co-defendants are gonna fold and start cooperating with the feds, and it's already looking shaky. Court records show that DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, aka OTF Diddy, has requested a pre-plea sentence report, which usually means somebody's considering a deal. If he or any of the others agree to flip and testify against Durk, that could give the prosecution a massive boost. Then there's the elephant in the room. Could Durk himself try to work out a plea? With the stack of evidence being thrown at him and the real threat of a life sentence, a plea deal might end up being his best shot at avoiding dying in a cell, but it wouldn't come cheap. Any deal would almost definitely mean admitting to major charges, and that could wreck his image, legacy, and credibility forever. Online, the debate over the leaked wiretaps and alleged murder-for-hire plots has been intense. Social media split down the middle. Some fans are riding for Durk, saying his alleged actions were all about loyalty, about getting justice for King Von. To them, it's about sticking to the code and defending your people. But others see it differently, saying it's a heartbreaking waste of potential. A guy who made it out of the trenches, who had the chance to change the game, now caught up in a revenge plot that could cost him everything. One Reddit user put it bluntly: they thought Durk was turning a new leaf, promoting peace and guiding the next generation. Now, they feel like he threw all that away chasing vengeance for Von's 2020 death. It's not looking good for Bricc Baby either. The constant snitching rumors hanging over him, even with all his denials, are starting to feel like a permanent stain on his name. And with how serious things are getting, this cloud could be enough to shut down his whole career. In March 2025, after getting caught up in Operation Drawdown, Bricc Baby called in from jail to the No Jumper podcast. He shut down the rumors that he got shanked behind bars and said he was planning to fight for bail. Even though his case isn't officially tied to Lil Durk's legal drama, the timing and energy around it only turned up the heat on the idea that he might have worked with the feds. And all this mess, it raises bigger issues about the culture, about violence in hip-hop, and how lines in a song or shots on social media can spiral into real-world consequences. What started as rap beef between OTF and Quando Rondo's crew didn't just stay on wax. It turned into something way more serious and way more tragic. The fallout has already gone beyond music and into the courtroom, the streets, and even jail cells. Now, the questions everyone's asking are, who else is going to get pulled into this? Is Durk going to beat these heavy charges? Will he or any OTF member end up flipping to cut a deal? Only time will tell. But you already know I'll be here breaking it all down. If you're locked into this story, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next one.